has to do with whether or not you can trust your network to look after application data. And a lot of people have built legacy architectures which assume that the network is the place to put security. We've been doing that since the 1990s, since IPsec came along, and that was rolled out by a lot of the vendors who sold it to a lot of people, and people built virtual private networks and so on. Anyone who knows anything about network and application architectures will recognize that there's no way that a network can signal to an application to tell it what it's doing, what's going on. So for example, you say, well, we've encrypted the network, we've got IPsec, we've got authentication between routers and so on. If that's switched off, or if it fails for some reason, there's no way of signaling to the application that that's happened. So the application carries on believing that this security in the network layer is still there, and it's not. And there have been some spectacular occasions when that's led people into a lot of trouble. Now, I'm not saying that network security isn't necessary. There's a lot of things that you need to secure the network to protect itself. The network is a valuable resource. You don't want people stealing your bandwidth. You don't want the quality of service to degrade, and there's all kinds of security services that you need to implement in the network in order to protect that. But essentially the job of the network is to provide a reliable transport service, delivery service for application data, not to protect it from any kind of interference that you would do with encryption type technologies, but to make sure that the transport services remain intact. Digital disruption means completely turning on its head the way in which business has engineered its processes. We're no longer then able to say, well, we'll have some system security, some system-centric security and some network security. What we need to do is to look at the end-to-end processes, process-centric security. That's what business is interested in. How do I secure my processes, and what does that mean? So I need to look at the risks to my processes. And yes, that will involve some system level intervention, some network level intervention, but it will involve a lot more and more we're seeing the need to move towards data-centric and person-centric security. Those are where we're focusing our development activities these days. Data-centric means that you embed the security in the data, and wherever the data goes, the security goes with it. It's not dependent on a particular system, it's not dependent on a particular network, it's not dependent on any particular type of platform or technology. It's something that's embedded inside the data and protected with that data. So we've got a lot of metadata that we put with the data, which contains the security policies that have to be applied to that data. And they also include some executable code that has to be applied to the data. In order to make that work, you need to know that wherever that data ends up, there's a trusted execution platform. But that network of trust is something else that needs to be built up, and that's relationships. That's not about technology. That's building up a business-driven community of trusted service providers and trust brokers. We are nowhere near having that kind of capability. When somebody is authorized and authenticated, we need to know the context in which they are authorized. So you may be authorized because it's Tuesday afternoon after 3 o'clock. But if it's Friday morning, you're not. or you're in Cairo, so you're no longer authorized. So we need to have authorization profiles that travel with the people, just as we have authorization profiles and policies that travel with the data. So those are the two emerging philosophies, if you like, that are going to change the way that we do security in the future.